welcome in everybody. It is the top of the hour, so we'll go ahead and get started here. We'll have some people logging in. I've got some text messages reminding people, so I see more and more people coming in. Let us know where you're coming in from. Introduce yourself if you'd like. Ask questions. Please put them in the chat. I will pose your questions, comments to Mark. We will respond as we go, or we'll hold them till the end, but we'll get it all handled. So welcome in. This is our webinar, Income on Autopilot, Scaling Your Online Business for Success. And here's what we're going to cover today. Is income on autopilot a myth or reality? What are you coming in with? What is your perception as you come into the room? How to scale your online business for cash flow and profit. How to determine the business structure that works best for you, and strategies for committing to your vision. So a couple of slides just to introduce ourselves as your host and hostess. I'm Jaimie Skultety. My company is Upscale Your Business. I specialize in virtual executive assistance and social media strategy. And I do that for professional coaches and consultants. I help them to systematize their business, maximize visibility, and attract ideal clients. And a bit about our presenter and my co-host, Mark Canty. His company is ReleaseDynamics.com. And Mark is a coach for coaches. His company, Release Dynamics, is dedicated to helping coaches and consultants release their full potential by applying practical business and marketing strategies. Mark has helped me a great deal in my business, so I know he's terrific at what he does, for sure. How would your business and life be different if in the next 90 days you could attract the kind of client you want at the rate that you need? And my final slide here is just to remind you, stay till the end. Those of you who are not already members of our Upscale Success Strategies, we have a special offer at the end of this on how you can join us. And what our program is focused on is how to grow a profitable coaching business. We offer strategies to attract your ideal clients. It's Mark's and my group. And if you join us, you'll have access to all of our past and our future webinars, monthly live implementation calls where we will help to diagnose any kind of problems that you're experiencing in your business. There's no charge for that. You just join us for a call in a Zoom room. And we also have bonus resources like worksheets, guidebooks, and some really valuable free services. So do stay till the end, and we'll share with you exactly how you can join us in that. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to introduce Mark once again and let him take over the presenting tasks.
Okay, so you're going to see some, and thank you, Jaimie, appreciate that. And as always, appreciate how thorough you are in your introduction.
Thank you.
You're going to see some screen shifts here in a minute, so I'll be quick, but it's just the nature of flipping screens. So I need to share my screen, and you're going to see that in a minute. And hopefully,
and Mark, while you're opening that up, I'll let you know we've got some people on here from Canada. So Mark's in Canada too. So great to have you here. Welcome in.
Yay. Okay. Here we go. So
hi, Susan.
There we go. So can everyone see my slides? And
I can.
Great. We made that transition. So one of the things, if you've been on a webinar with us before, is one of the little tricks we do to make things quick and easy. I learned this from a mentor, a teacher of mine, and a friend, David Sprague. And it's, if you agree with something or you want to just say yes, then just type 1. And if you don't, then type 2. So when we ask the question, let's do a little practice round here. Can you see 3 lovely, youthful, smiling faces on your screen here? Give us a 1 if you can see that.
We're getting 1s. Yep.
All right. That's great. So you're participating. Yay. Congratulations. And so happy that you're doing that. So let's dive right in here. And if I can get my slides working the way I want them to. Sorry, I need to move some screens around here just to make sure I can really give you 100% of my attention. There. Let's see if that works. There we go. We're working. Okay. So we're going to talk about income on autopilot. And again, my name is Mark Canty, and my company is called Release Dynamics. And I'm dedicated to helping you release the full potential of your business. So I have a philosophy that I've had for a very long time, and Jaimie can testify to this, is that I believe that all the seeds of your success, everything that you need to be successful is already there. It's within you and it needs to be released. So this is counter to pretty much everything you're going to see online in terms of a philosophy, because everybody wants to sell you on the fact that you're not complete and that you don't know what you're doing and that you need the latest shiny object in order to be successful. So we're going to talk about that myth a little bit in a few moments here. So let's talk first about this idea that how do I get income on autopilot? How do I grow this business and how do I scale my business? But let's talk about this because I'm going to give you the secret sauce. And what I want to do is encourage you to stick around. This is classic of spectators, by the way, and Jaimie and I note this all the time. Those of you who fall into this basket is where they'll stick around for a couple of minutes and they'll go, nah, and then they'll leave, because the object isn't shiny enough for them. So I want to encourage you to stick around. At least stick around for the first 15 minutes and see if there's some value here and see if we can maybe shake some of your beliefs. Because if you already had the answers and you already knew what you were looking for, then why would you even be on this webinar? You wouldn't. You're looking to get some confirmation, some affirmation, and some tools and tips that can help you move forward. So stick around and let's do that, okay? You've heard me talk about this before if you've been on any of my webinars, and this is the starting of the secret sauce. And that is, you better know exactly what you want from your business. What does your business mean to you? What does success mean to you? Specifically, get really specific with it, because if you don't know that, how will you ever achieve it? And then what's the absolute minimum necessary that you need to do to achieve that? Describe your ideal business model, how it's perfectly designed to achieve your goal, and then ask yourself and design what is the fastest and easiest path to get that done. Now take this plan and compare it to your current actions. So you want to know what's going on. Now, I know this may sound a little, I don't know, basic or rudimentary, but you know what? Probably, I don't know, Jaimie, you might be able to validate this with me in terms of what you see, but 9 times out of 10, when I first visit with somebody, they don't have the answers to these 3 questions. They really don't have clarity.
Right.
Is that true for you too, Jaimie?
Very true. Very true indeed. Yes.
So start here. Get real is my point here, is understand what you really want and how you're going to get it. That's the bottom line with this slide. So let's carry on to the secret sauce, the magic bullet, the miracle of creating income, sustainable income that's going to come in day after day after day. And we're going to go there right now. We're going to dive in. Now, the first thing I want to do is let you know what it's going to take. So we're going to be right up front and be direct with you. What it's going to take is answering those 3 questions. Okay, so we're going to begin there very quickly. What exactly do I want from my business? If you can't answer that question, then you obviously can't get it. So you better start there. And then what is the absolute minimum necessary I need to do to achieve that? Well, you're creating a business. If you want income on autopilot, and there's really 2 ways to get income immediately and on autopilot. That's to buy a winning lottery ticket or to design a business that works. So in order to do that, you need a number of basic things: marketing and acquisition system, a conversion and fulfillment system, a customer service and support system, a follow-up and retention system. I know that's not what you want to hear. I know everybody out there is going, wait, couldn't you just give me the $99 product that would give me $900,000 by the end of the week? No, that's not reality. The reality is you need to create these systems. We're going to dive into those in a minute here. The other thing you need to know is what is the fastest and easiest path to get that done. So you need to always go back and ask yourself, what am I doing now? And is it any of those things? Is it actually fulfilling on what I need to be doing? And if it's not, you better stop doing it and you better start doing what you do need to do in order to get things done. So compare that to the ideal model. If you don't have the model, then how do you know what you're doing or where you're going? So compare that back to your perfect model. And then what is your plan to bring that into alignment? If you say, wait a minute, this is a list of what I'm doing now, and this is what I know I need to be doing, create a plan to transition so that you make sure that you're doing the things that need to get done. And now that we talk about that, let's talk about the things that need to get done. I'm going to talk about 12 critical areas for business success here when it comes to designing and developing your business on the internet. And before I do that, I want to give credit where credit is due. And that is one of my, true confession time. I was where everybody else was back in 2005 is when I first decided to, create an online business that was going to create income for me. And of course, I went down the path that many go down, and thinking that there was some sort of magic secret sauce and that I was going to build income on autopilot by doing certain things. And I spent quite a bit of money, to be honest. I went through, my first course was $5,000. I flew halfway across the country to attend that. And that was my first magic bullet course that promised in a weekend that I was going to be making my fortune. That obviously didn't work. Fortunately, I struggled and kept with it. And I came across a fellow named Rich Schefren. And you maybe, if you've been on my webinars before, you've heard me talk about Rich, but I want to give Rich credit because a lot of the content that I'm going to share with you in the next few minutes comes directly from what I learned from Rich. Rich is a mentor of mine and continues, even though I don't follow, I'm not in contact with him. I think Rich is retired right now. Haven't heard from him in a number of years. I still consider him probably one of the greatest minds when it comes to internet marketing. And a true mentor of mine. So there you go, credit given. So one of the things that Rich talked about is he said in a booklet, if you get a chance to pick this up, and by the way, if you've never heard of this and you don't know where to get it, I'm happy to share it with you. It's called the Internet Business Manifesto, and it was a small ebook that Rich wrote. It was free and distributed widely around the world, millions of copies. So I do have a copy of that if anybody is interested in getting that. And I would really encourage you to read that. So what Rich talked about, he said your internet business, really, there are 12 critical areas. So there's content, list building, your finances, technical, system, sales, traffic, client relationships, market analysis, business building, legal and compliance, and affiliate marketing. So let's dive a little deeper. This is it, folks. This is the secret sauce that I'm laying out. This is the recipe. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper, and I'm going to be fast and brief on each one here. So let's go into the first one, which is content. So content includes things like articles, books, ebooks, and physical books, audio and video, software, content pages for your SEO, graphics, free reports and e-courses, e-zines, bonuses, blog posts, and podcasts. So we broke that one out. Now let's look at the next one. The next one is list building activities. So the tactics that you're going to use to build your list management, segmenting, deliverability. Here's a quick little quiz for you. Let's do a pop-up quiz. 1 or 2 now. How many people believe that you can build a business online without having a list? Can you do that? Give me a 1 if you think that's possible, or a 2 if you think that's not possible.
2s.
Okay, good. Good check-in. We're on track.
You're paying attention. Good.
You're paying attention. Okay. Finance. What about finance activities? Setting up your merchant accounts, paying people who are selling for you, your affiliates. We're going to talk in a minute about that. Accounts payable. Are you paying your bills? Are you managing all of that? How about vendor outsourcing, budgets, taxes, payroll, accounts receivable, all those things that come into the finance category. Technical activities, software development, site maintenance, computer maintenance, tracking, whitelisting, server maintenance, and so on and so on. By the way, these are just the high points. There's much more within this, but you can see where we're going with this. How about your systems? Do you have internal systems? Do you have those set up, mapped out? Have you mind mapped those out and then made process maps for those so that they work? Software development. If you're trying to build your own business, at some point in time, you're probably going to want to develop some of your own software, particularly if you're looking at building what many refer to as a cash machine that's going to bring income into you, even though you're not managing every little part of the business. Okay. How about sales? Copywriting activities, sales letters, order pages, affiliate recruitment, getting people to sell for you, in other words, pay-per-click, banner ads, emails, opt-ins, name captures, and testing. Name captures, coming back to that list again. How about traffic? What are you doing to drive traffic? Do you have a good SEO plan? Blogs, link buying, link building, JV recruitment, joint ventures is what JV stands for. Viral programs, or have you got viral content that's out here? Pay-per-click again, buying domains, banner advertising, just to name a few. Client relations and activities. Now, please don't log off on me if you're getting bored or you're getting overwhelmed. That's okay. Just hang in there with me. Client relations activities, getting testimonials and feedback, gathering reviews, having a customer service representative to make sure that when something does go wrong, and it will inevitably if you're pumping out product, you have to have a way to basically address that so you can maintain your reputation. Are you doing free offers, giveaways, samples? Return processing. Not everything's going to be rosy. Not everybody's going to keep what you have, and they're not going to be satisfied with what they purchased. So you've got to be able to return that. Fulfillment, fulfillment house, fulfillment people, fulfillment staff. How are you going to get your product? Even if it's an e-product, you have to have a fulfillment process. How about the next step, which is now that you've got some things flowing, the business building activities. And these have to be happening really sequentially with everything else at the same time so that you make sure that you don't miss the boat, you're not left behind. So are you acquiring related websites, buying competitors or similar websites? Acquiring similar businesses, buying sites that are offering what people would buy before they buy your product so you can lead them into your product, or what they might buy after your product so that you have additional back-end products. How about licensing of those and making sure that legal requirements and fulfillments are in place? Market analysis. Are you a niche detective? Are you constantly looking at what's happening in your marketplace and understanding your audience and your customers? Are you doing surveys? Are you doing keyword research? Are you using the database and asking appropriate questions? Do you have upsales? Do you have downsales? Do you have backends? Do you have bumps? All of these things need to be designed if you want to be that multi-millionaire internet marketer. One more. Affiliate marketing. You can do all this yourself? Are you going to sell thousands of products yourself? Are you somehow superhuman that you're able to stay up 24/7 and market around the world and never go to sleep? Probably not. So you're going to need some affiliates. So you're going to be looking at programs and who's the best and who you're going to fit in. Which programs fit best for you? You need to be a member so that you can promote other people's products as well as your own in order to build those JV relationships. You want to develop separate sites to promote other people's products so they can then develop and build sites to promote your products. And of course, list, back to the old list again, to build your list. Legal and compliance. All of those regulations that come with them. I'm getting tired of listing all of these things off. I hope you're getting tired of listening to them. But understanding spam issues and regulations. Do you have a lawyer? Do you understand the compliance issues that are changing on almost a daily basis that you need to have incorporated in all of your internet development business so that you don't end up with a whopping fine or worse yet, in jail? Terms of service, business licenses, sales tax collection, remittance, tax filings, all of those fun things. Now, it's important to note, I just done what I could in about 5 minutes here for you. And this list is by no means exhaustive, but it's a pretty good start. Would you agree that those 12 things are sound like they make sense to developing a good business that's going to market products or services on a consistent basis and get repeat sales over and over again? How many people would give me a 1 for that?
I'd give you 1. And I also, looking back when I started my business 10 years ago, it was, I have a website. So that should be all I need. And that's just not how it goes, unfortunately. You have to get traffic there. How do you get people there? That's,
Yes. And we just did a deep dive very quickly to show you this. Now, I appreciate I'm giving you some tough love here, but you know what? Everybody needs tough love, because if you don't get it, then you're going to fail and you're going to continue to lose money and you're going to continue to pay those gurus that are going to tell you how to make money in a weekend. Okay. So let's pull this together though, because I'm not quite done yet. So are you ready to see what this business model really looks like? Are you ready? You better brace yourself. This is what it looks like. Yeah. Are you feeling a little overwhelmed when you look at that? That's okay. You now understand the reason you're frustrated with your progress.
Yeah.
Is there any wonder why? By the way, true confession, I've gone through this, and Jaimie and I connected because Jaimie came through this process. Mm-hmm. Jaimie didn't know that this is what it took. And our first conversation was, how do I take my DIY product and put it on autopilot and make a fortune from it? Yeah. True, Jaimie?
That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Believe me, hang in there with me. I wanted
to help more people. And I thought, well, I'll put together a DIY program and they can, do it themselves and get my expertise and all of that. And, it's something that what I've come to learn is I have to recommend that to people, and in order to do that, so there's a whole lot of other stuff. But yes, Mark is right. And,
so there's light at the end of the tunnel. Please hang in there.
We're getting one person is asking you to go back one slide, please, just quickly if you could. Is that good? Can we move forward? Yes, one.
Okay.
Yes.
And again, if you're looking for that, you're screen capturing it. That's great. That's fine. And also I want to let you know that you can always ask us for it. And also, if you're doing that, I would encourage you to ask me to send you Rich Schefren's report, The Internet Business Manifesto, and to read that.
Yep.
And you'll see that a lot of what I just covered is in there. Okay. So is it any wonder why you're frustrated and that you're overwhelmed? Seriously, if you were to take all of that and you were to outsource it all, don't you see that even then you'd have a challenge managing all those outsources? So people think, well, I'll just outsource everything and then I'll sit back and I'll lie on the beach and I'll sip rum out of coconut because all my outsourcers will be taking care of everything for me. It doesn't work that way, does it? Because all that work has to get done, and then somebody needs to manage those outsourcers. So again, I don't want to burst your bubble here. I want to give you a reality check. So here's the crazy part of all of this, is that even though that model has been used and continues to be used by many internet marketers, do you know what they spend an overwhelming time and money on? Searching for more activities and tactics and tricks to squeeze into that chart. It's crazy, isn't it? Why on earth would you spend any more time looking for more to do? You aren't even getting all that stuff done that you already want to get done. But most people are on the lookout for the latest, greatest opportunity to add to their list of stuff that isn't going to get done. And make no mistake, the chart above is the chart of a person who is sadly lacking in one big thing. Does anybody know what it is?
Time?
No? Because we're human. We can't make any more of it. Here's what it's lacking. It's lacking a strategy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It screams opportunist. It screams easy money. It screams win the lottery mentality. If I just plug into this into play, then I'll be able to take people's money. If I just have a system that's convoluted enough and crazy enough and complicated enough, people will just hand over their money to me.
And here's another thing that I think about, and you and I have talked about this. It was years ago when I started, 10 years ago, people, the big thing was getting people to opt into your list. You give away a free report, they opt in. They're not doing that anymore. People are like, they're getting too many emails. That's just not even a strategy. It's good to have it on your site, but it's not a strategy, and it's not something that works any longer. And it's kind of the same thing. We're almost kind of in overwhelm in our inboxes with all the DIY products and so I have clients a lot that say to me, I have a product and I just want to sell that. And like you said, sip pina coladas on the beach. And, if there was a magic wand that I could wave for them, I would do it. I would do it over my business all day long.
Sure.
It's just not that, simple. It's not that easy. Even if you have the greatest, I have a great program that would be very valuable to anybody. It's just not that simple to just, put it out there and hope that they show up. Yeah.
And even if we think about, historically, if we think of the old kind of sleazy used car salesman, the concept and why selling got a bad connotation is what we're, when you just said it, Jaimie, is somebody comes to me and says, I've got a product and I want to sell it to people. Well, really, you're just going back to being a used car salesman, aren't you? You're just trying to push something on people. And we know that doesn't work offline and it doesn't work online, because just trying to push something on people isn't going to work. And that's the bottom line, really. That's what most people do when they say, oh, I've got this product and I want to sell it and I want income on autopilot. So they think that I'm just going to throw it out there and I'm going to say, buy this, and people will just buy it. And they'll just keep buying it, buying it, buying it, buying it, buying it. Does that even sound like a real concept or a strategy? Of course not. So here's the reality check, and there's going to be a few of them here.
Yeah.
As long as your organization chart looks like this, you'll always be spinning your wheels and wondering why you're not achieving the level of success you've always wanted. Now, some of you might be tempted to click away because you're going, oh, here's going to come the pitch. You know, don't jump to the conclusion that I'm saying, oh, you're going to have to hire people to go in every one of these boxes.
Right.
Okay. That may be where you end up going if you're truly building an organization, but that's not what I'm suggesting right here. What I'm suggesting right here is this is the reason that you're struggling. It's because you have done this. This is your organizational chart. And it's essentially impossible. Give me a 1 if you would agree with that.
I agree. Yeah.
So why do we keep doing this over and over and over again and expecting different results? Because we're truly operating from a level of insanity. And all of those messages and all of that stuff that we're hearing out there just keep driving the insanity. What was that? Remember there was back, I'm dating myself, I think it was back in the 80s. There was a gal that sold fitness products on the TV.
Susan Powder?
Could have been. And her big thing was stop the insanity.
Yes,
Remember?
that's her. Yeah.
Yeah, she used to scream, stop the insanity. Well, I kind of like to be that person for the internet right now. Stop the insanity, because there's just so much of it going on.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So here's the reality check. The reality check is your business in its current state is perfectly designed to achieve the results you're currently getting. And if you aren't getting what you want, then stop pretending that there's a magic solution out there somewhere. Stop buying the next shiny object. The answer is obvious. You simply haven't designed your business to get what you want. So somebody posted yesterday, I picked up on this on a blog and posted a question about why they were spending all this money on advertising. They were ranking #1 in Google. They were getting great clicks through Yelp. They had reviews. They had ads, pay-per-click ads. They were just slamming it out there, but they weren't getting one sale. And saying, what's going on? Why am I not getting sales or even leads from all this work that I've done and I've poured it into? And the answer was simple. Have you put anything out there that people want to buy? Do you even know what they want to buy? What's your design? What's your strategy? Where are you going back and understanding what the marketplace wants? So I could digress on this, but the bottom line is stop searching for a magic bullet. This guy did. He just kept going after one, after another, after another. What you need to be doing is getting crystal clear on those questions again, right? So let's come back to them. 3 things to get totally clear on. What exactly do I want for my business? What is the absolute minimum necessary I need to achieve that? And what is the fastest, easiest path to get that done? Okay, now I promised we were gonna come out of this dark tunnel of doom and gloom. and I hope that when I presented all of that information and you saw that it really made you sit back and go, now I know somebody there wanted me to go back, probably to take a screen cap. Some people might be going, yeah, that's what I want to build. Okay, if you want to build that, I'm going to give you some tips on that too. We're going to come up. But I hope it allowed you to pause and go, wow, there's a lot going on here. Yeah. There's a lot that I need to be doing, and there's a lot I need to be thinking about if I am going to achieve any level of success. So, income on autopilot. Let's get some feedback. Time to participate. Number 1s or 2s. Leave me some comments here. What do you think? Myth or reality?
I think that it could be a reality if you do some of the things that are needed to be done beforehand. But it certainly is. It could be achievable. I feel could be. I mean, look, people are doing it, but Oprah didn't become Oprah overnight. So it takes clarity. That's really where you're going with this, I think. Okay, so we're getting reality, I think, is one of the responses. Anybody? And yes, I agree, Jaimie. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
So I'm going to suggest to you that it's a myth. Okay. And the reason I'm going to suggest that is, do you think that Oprah still works?
Yes.
And do you think that any of the other people that that really have for all intents and purposes what we feel have achieved some level of stream of income and cash flow, do you think any of them are not working?
No, absolutely not. And so that's a very, very valid point, because I mean, Oprah, Tony Robbins, you name it. There, Marie Forleo, who I really look up to and admire, Amy Porterfield, they all worked really hard. Yeah. And that's the thing though. It didn't just happen overnight for them. Every one of them will tell you. So that's really where I'm coming from is,
yeah, Yeah.
It didn't happen overnight. I'm successful, and that didn't happen overnight either.
Yes.
So
Yes. And in a sense, there's some reality, but it took a hell of a lot of work to get there.
yes.
So we might be talking about retirement end game here, if you've built it right and you've got the people in place. But the reality is, even as you're working it and the business is doing really well and the income is flowing in, you got a lot of moving pieces going on. And you're the one that started it. So if you're not generating the revenue, you're managing the people and the systems and the processes that are generating the revenue. So there's only one way to just start something up and have income on autopilot. And that's luck, winning the lottery. So, many people would look at, oh, I wish I could just invent the iPhone, come up with the next iPhone. Does anybody know when the iPhone first got conceptualized by Steve Jobs?
No, I don't.
Long before the iPod. Technology, and he realized that he couldn't even bring it into reality. So he went through the iPod first and the basic iterations of that. I'm not sure what the exact year was. Somebody can research it or look it up. But it basically, it's that old axiom, 10 years to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
So the idea that, all of a sudden we can just hang out our shingle online and have income on autopilot is a myth, because any business, whether it's offline or online, requires work. It requires design. Sometimes it requires luck. And you need to be willing to go through all that. Otherwise, let's face it, everybody would be doing it. And if these guys that are selling you these pitches that, oh, I made $1 million, last month, and that's my cash flow, and here's my check. If they were really cranking in that money and sitting in Thailand, sipping rum out of a coconut on a beach somewhere, why would they be trying to sell you the next product? Those guys are working their butts off to make their next million because they're spending $1 million to make $1 million.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
And they're paying like a big production crew to come out and film them on the beach. They're paying top dollar to make it look like it's so. I love these overproduced kind of,
Yes.
Hey, make $1 million like me. I look great.
Yeah. And this is all I do, sit by my pool in my Hawaiian shirt. It's not reality, folks. Okay. So let's get into let's get to reality. So there's
one comment I wanted to just throw out, and maybe you can, address it in these next slides. But one person said, I think one needs revenue before building an organization. So let's see if we can dispel that or address that.
Okay. So let's talk about this. And that's a great point, and I'd love to address that. And I think I will coming up here. Okay. So you've got choices. First of all, you can design a product-driven business. And what I mean by product is anything. It could be a digital product, a virtual product, could be an info product. It could be something that's in a sense, what I'm saying is non-tangible. So when I say product, I don't mean the next iPhone. Okay. Is that clear?
Yeah.
You need a strategy. You need to design your business. You need resources to build that business. You need a team, because nobody's going to do this on their own. And you're going to need to manage that team. Okay. Now, the alternative is a solopreneur. Now, this is a challenge where I come across this a number of times, is often who we're speaking to are coaches and consultants, not inventors, not true entrepreneurs. They don't want to start a business. They don't have experience starting a business, but they want income on autopilot. So they think that the product-driven business model is going to work for them, even though they don't even know what that model is, and they're not prepared to invest any time or money learning what it is. So if you're a coach or consultant, and I'm assuming that most people that are going to be watching this webinar or on this webinar need to look at this way, is what is a solopreneur? A coach, a consultant. They're going to need a strategy. They're going to need an offer. They're going to need a minimum viable audience. And that's how they're going to build their business. So it's a much smaller footprint, if you will. And it's a much more focused concept in terms of how to design and build a business. And what I see happening, and Jaimie, you can validate this or correct me if I'm wrong, is I see a lot of coaches and consultants getting frustrated because they don't know how to build their practice, to do marketing for their practice. So they flip. They see a shiny object and they think, well, if I just have a book or an ebook or something I can sell, then I'll get income on autopilot. Are you
Yes,
seeing that, Jaimie?
I definitely see that. And I also see a lot of times when I consult with people that when I ask them, who's your ideal client, it's anybody with a checkbook, it's anybody that will pay me. So, and then they stay stuck in that model, and they think it's very limiting to narrow the focus. They
Yes.
feel like that's limiting. I have to then turn away business if they're not in my market. So
Yes.
yeah, so we can go into a much longer, we have a whole webinar about that topic, but we've
Exactly.
already done it. But yeah.
So what happens is that comes back to the minimum viable audience is they don't have a strategy for their coaching and consulting practice and marketing. And they start looking maybe for some answers, and they get lured by shiny objects, which tell them that they can make money on autopilot. And then they want to get into this product driven business. I want to talk about one other thing here too, which is this idea of authority. So people often get this, Jaimie, you and I had this conversation the other day, is people get this idea that, well, if I have enough product sales, then I'll become an authority on a given topic.
Right.
But the challenge with that is you're kind of in a double bind scenario, because who's going to buy your product or service if you're not already an authority?
Right.
How do you validate yourself? How do you say to people, I'm the expert, even though you've never heard of me before and you've got nothing to validate that statement, buy my product? It doesn't work that way. In fact, it works the opposite way. Authority leads to product sales.
100%. Yes.
So that's where people get mixed up too. They think, well, I'm just going to put that out there. I think a lot of people too get mixed up, and maybe a few get this hyper inflated concept of themselves where they think they are an authority. And for them, I just say, go walk out on the street and ask the first 10 people you meet whether they know your name and what you do.
Yeah.
So again, it comes back to having a strategy that's focused on you instead of being distracted and pulled off track and getting into this idea that you're going to get into doing a product and that's going to make you this figure. How many people write books, over the eons, even before, the internet, and thought that they were going to become this megastar, this author? How many people go to used bookstores or use book sales? There's just countless people.
I have a book, and it's not even a lot of money, and it's really a lead generator for me. And I have people who, buy the book, download the book, whatever, and it's really something to get them to move towards my website. But it does highlight me as an authority on my topic. But no, nobody just shows up without something that led them there. So yes. I think that's what you're getting at, is like something. They don't just show up to buy my book. They have no idea who I am or what, so there's a lot that goes into the visibility component, the consistency component, where they see you and they start to recognize. Yeah, exactly.
One magic ad isn't going to do it all.
Right.
So let's get into some. I want to give just an example. This is just a case study, and it's a fictional case study. So we're going to look at this though in such a way that hopefully will give you some ideas as to how you can start to do some own design on your own. Okay, so let's look at a product-driven business, because I don't want to suggest that that's not possible. Mm-hmm. I think that there are very good reasons for starting a product-driven business, but you've got to realize that you're starting a business, which means you're creating an organization. And whoever said, well, you've got to have revenue to build an organization, is not a business person. Because anybody that's ever started or run a business realizes that your revenue, where's your revenue when you start? Before you start, and when you start, and for the first little while after you've started, your revenue is at zero.
I was just going to say, I bootstrapped my business, and I'm sure most people do. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people think that there's this idea that, because the internet came along, everything changed. It didn't. The rules of business are exactly the same offline as they are online. There's two things that have changed dramatically, and I'll digress for just a moment here. What's digressed is the internet has basically collapsed space and time. Space meaning now we can market all over the world. We don't have to market within delivery range of where we can drive our car or walk to a store. And it's collapsed time because we can market 24 hours a day. But the principles of designing and operating a business are all the same. So, give me a list of people who said, I didn't have any organization, and once I had a good chunk of money in place, then I started to build my business. Only if they got that money from somewhere else. like an angel, like an investor, or from savings or love money or whatever. So it didn't come from revenue. Make sense?
I have a question in the chat for
Yes.
you. I don't know if you want to address it now or later, but it says, what do you recommend when a business has been around with recognized expertise, but now after all these years want to make a pivot in a new region? And do you believe that live networking is still as valuable as it has been in the past years?
The question for pivoting would be a long one, would require a lot more questions and answers to figure out what that is. I would say one thing about it. If you're going to pivot, who are you going to pivot to? What is your audience? Always come back to the audience.
Yes.
So,
what do they need?
Yeah. So if you're pivoting, then you're pivoting to a new audience. You better understand that audience intimately, and then go through and develop and design the strategy that's going to appeal to that audience. So that would be my short answer to that, but yep. Obviously needs a much longer conversation. The other question was
live networking, meaning in person, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Very, very dependent on your niche and your audience. I'm going to give you a really crass example here. If you're in the business of marketing adult videos, then your mass market is probably not going to be into personal networking. Does that example make sense? I know it's extreme, but what I'm trying to point out is that, again, it comes back to you have to understand your audience, because does your audience hang around in places? Do they gather in groups physically?
Okay, she's saying my audience is senior business executives.
Then I would suggest that there's value in that, but again, it depends on what kind of business you want to design. It depends on what you want from your business. You got to go back and answer those questions. There's no magic answer here. So here are a few things that come right to the top of my head. Do you want to fly and travel and move around? Do you want to visit clients on site? Do you want to do any portion of your business online? Do you, if you do your business online, in other words, virtually, if you want to do virtual meetings or telephone meetings and things like that, then that's going to have a different impact. And where does that audience hang out? What industry are you in? Are they internet savvy? Many executives are getting very savvy on the internet. The other thing that they're doing is what's shifting here is their audience, the audience that you're appealing to, and again, you need to know it very well, is relying on other people. So when you go with seasoned executives that maybe are older, they might not be spending a lot of time online, but they're relying on an assistant or a VP or a manager to inform them. So right. In that case, that person becomes your gatekeeper and becomes the person that you need to address first.
Right. Very good. Yes.
That's about maybe 5 or 10 of what I would say would be probably over 100 questions that I would ask just to get a draft idea and concept together. So you've got to come back to answer those questions. What do you want from your business? What is your business going to deliver for you? Then what is the easiest path and how can I get there quickly? How can I minimize? How can I go through? So
gatekeepers are so scary. And Walter says a gatekeeper and executive assistant. Yeah. I thought that was a really good idea, Mark.
So know your audience again. I've worked with, he might be on the call, I'm not sure, but working with a coach who deals with executives right now. One of the things we identified when he thought back and really started to do his homework and understand his audience, he realized that his executive consults, all of those people that he'd worked with, the vast majority, and I think he estimated it to be like about 80% of people, he did not connect directly and did not connect directly with him. They came through an HR referral. So the HR department recognized that this executive was in crisis, or the executive recognized he was in crisis and went to HR for help. That was a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Because he'd been spending all of his time and money marketing directly to CEOs who didn't have the time to or interest in listening to his message. What he realized is he needed to be marketing to HR professionals.
Yeah.
In a very specific industry. I could go on.
Okay. Some questions come in, but I'm going to let Mark continue just so we can get, to the meat of this, because I want to make sure that people who need to leave, on the hour, but we're going to stay and answer every question. So hang in there with us. And and we are still here. But
so I want to give you a couple examples here. So if you want to have a product-driven business where you're going to be marketing those, that's great. That's fantastic. I just gave you 12 critical areas that you need to be working on developing, people you're going to hire for, outsourcers you're going to do, strategy you're going to develop, all of that. It's a broad audience play. You need to be realizing that you need to be talking about volume. And here's the case study example. So first of all, let me mention there that you want to realize that when your business is running, most people that are running successful, up and running product-oriented businesses are spending 30 to 50%, in some cases more, just on marketing alone. Then they have staff, then they have fulfillment houses and everything else, even production. Let's say it's a printed book or a physical product or something that requires something physical. There's shipping, there's any number of things that could be involved in that. Add in your expenses, and your profit margin, could be as low as 5 or 10%. And that's after you're running. That's after everything's done and things are going well. So let's take an example of a $199 product. Your income goal, let's say you want to earn $200,000. That's the money I want to earn. That's a reasonable income for me to earn in a year. In that case, if I was spending 50% of my money on marketing, I would need a revenue goal of $400,000, and I need to be selling 2,000 units. Now, that's a case study example of a business that's probably doing extremely well to get those kinds of margins. So I'm going to tell you that this is not even probably realistic. It's barely even uber optimistic. But I want to do this because I didn't want to blow you out of the water with really aggressive numbers here. So this means you're going to be selling around 170 to 200 units a month. And what is it going to take to do that? Back to the person who made the comment about I need revenue in order to build my business. No, it's the opposite. You need a business in order to get revenue. So here's another wake up call for your reality call. When you're launching this business, you're going to be investing 50 to 100% in marketing. And if you have fulfillment expenses, if you have other expenses, fixed costs, variable costs, all of the other things that come with running a business, there's a very good chance that you're going to be running in deficit for a while. So this means that in your first year alone, in the most ideally optimistic sense, you're going to be bringing in 400,000, but you're going to have spent 400,000 in order to bring in that 400,000. And there's a very good chance you're probably spending more like $500,000 to 700,000, 800,000, maybe even $1 million to bring in that 400,000 in your first year. And you may be going and be ready to log off right now, but this is real. This is what it takes to run a business. So I'm just trying to give you a reality check here. Now, what's going on with your time? Well, your time is going to be spent. First of all, there's an assumption here that you've designed everything and that it's all ready to go. You've done all the networking, you've set up all the accounts, you've got all the people in place. Now, all of your time is going to be spent managing, measuring, and then adjusting your game plan. So I would ask you, is that where your strengths are? Are you a true entrepreneur? Are you a business owner and manager? Is this what floats your boat? Is this what you're really good at? If it is, this is what you're looking at. And you would probably know these numbers already. You probably wouldn't even be on this webinar because you'd already know, hey, I need to raise so much capital in order to launch my business, in order to get things going, in order to have my staff in place, my fulfillment in-house, everything going on and running smoothly, all of my design done. If this isn't in your wheelhouse, if this isn't your strength, you need to really check in and say, is this what I really, really want? A little story, and see if I can remember it. There was a story about a famous violinist. I can't remember who it was. Can't remember the name exactly, but he played in, and you probably heard the story. He played in Carnegie Hall, and there was a woman that just loved and adored him, and she went to see him play. And there was a Q&A or something. She had the opportunity to make a comment or whatever. And she said to him, I would give anything to play like you. And he said, no, you wouldn't. And the moral of that story is that no, she wouldn't, or she would play like him. He gave his entire life to becoming a virtuoso at playing the violin.
Right.
And this is the gap that occurs with people when they look at this idea of income on autopilot or designing a business, is if you see those guys that are making all that money, the Frank Kerns and the other guys around the world, God bless them, they are brilliant at building businesses. And that's why they own the Bentleys and they have the multi-million-dollar homes and the yachts and they travel around the world, because this is in their wheelhouse. They're really good at this and they work very, very hard at it.
Yeah.
So again, myth or reality? It depends on what you want to do. Now let's look at the solopreneur model. Okay. And again, I'm qualifying this. If I were doing this webinar for people who were business people who wanted to build a business, I'd be doing it differently. I'm doing this webinar because I realize that our audience is pretty much coaches and consultants. Okay. So I want to put that disclaimer and qualifier in there. What I'm trying to do is give you an idea of where you need to be. So if you are the business person, stop trying to be the coach and consultant and build a really successful business, and then maybe coach people on how to build businesses. But if you want to build a coaching and consulting practice, first thing you need to do is figure out what it is you want. And the fastest path to get there is going to be establishing a minimum viable audience. This is a low volume approach. Why? Because when you're being hired as a coach and consultant, let me give you another example. Jaimie brought up somebody that said, I want to be all things to all people. Well, they didn't say that. They say, I can coach everybody. How did you put it, Jaimie?
Anybody with a credit card.
Anybody with a credit card and a pulse, right?
Yeah.
And a lot, I know, coaching establishments like coaching colleges teach this, that, oh, don't get involved. You don't need to worry about what they do. That's not your job. You can coach anybody through any problem. That's one of the worst pieces of advice that they could ever give, because it sabotages your business success. And let me give you an example. If let's say I have a child and he's struggling in math, and I want to hire a coach, I want to hire a tutor. If I'm looking through the tutors and the learning coaches that are out there, and I look at the different ones, and they all say, we can coach any child on any subject. We can coach any child on any subject. And then all of a sudden something pops up and it says, we focus exclusively on helping children with math issues. And even better, my child is, say, 8 years old, specifically between the ages of 7 and 9. Who am I going to go to?
Yep.
Yeah, I know you've got a story like that, Jaimie, that happened to you.
Like if you break a crown in your mouth and you go to look for a dentist that can fix your crown, we all know that any dentist can fix a broken crown. But if I come across an ad that says, we specialize in fixing broken crowns, I'm more likely to go to them because I feel like they know what they're doing, and maybe it'll be less painful and all of that. So yeah, exactly what Mark and I were talking about this yesterday. I don't know if you want to share the story, but just about, how we can focus on even for ourselves on what types of coaches that we want to help and work with and all of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me carry on, but that's the idea, is just, once you have it smaller, get it smaller again.
Yeah.
Get a smaller gain and get a smaller gain. And you want to get down to the minimum viable audience, because let's come back to that authority example. How do I become an expert and an authority in my field? Make your field really small. Yeah. That's how you do it.
And it doesn't mean that you have to limit yourself. It doesn't, because I had a feeling like, okay, if I limit myself in that way, then I have to turn away business. So if somebody comes to me and they're not a coach, and they want it, and they have a credit card and they're ready to pay me, it doesn't mean I say, no, I can't help you. But if I am marketing to that minimum viable audience, and they're coming and they're ready, and I share with them exactly how I can help specifically them, then their credit card is like, here, go ahead. I'm ready. Yeah. And
you're going to attract less of those people. And then you're also going to get to a point. This is the ultimate, is when you get to that point where you have enough guts to say, nope, I can't help you.
Yep.
Because that's not the specific type of person that I help and I work with. I am fine-tuned, laser focused on helping coaches and consultants.
Yep.
And that's what I do. So when you're able to have the guts to be able to say no, then you'll get better and better and become that true expert. So we're talking about low volume here. Let me finish up.
Yeah.
The fact is, when you're dealing with that kind of specialty, when you're talking about lower volume and a minimum viable audience, you don't need all that staff. You don't need all that expense. You don't need to be reaching the whole world. Right. So let's do a case study here. Let's say you have a $5,000 service and your income goal is $200,000, just like the other one. Now your revenue goal becomes $220,000. and your unit sales goal becomes 40. You're looking for 40 clients. So that could equal 10 new clients per quarter. So if you can bring on 10 new clients per quarter for a $5,000 quarterly fee, then now look at the number of people that you have to market to. Let's say that your marketing is average and it attracts 10%. You're able to attract 10%. Then you're talking about marketing to 400 people. Can you see how all the expenses go down, all of the maintenance, everything else, all of your messaging and your content and everything that you need to worry about all of a sudden becomes hyper-focused and much easier to deal with instead of trying to be all things to all people?
Yeah, and you can command higher rates too. If you specialize in something, that's worth something to people. Yeah.
So what it becomes, and just to finish this off, is that your time then turns into building content to become the authority and relationship building, because relationship building leads to clients and sales.
Yes.
So that, and isn't that what you got into coaching for? Did you get into coaching so that you didn't have to talk to anybody, but you just had to manage and measure and become an accountant and a person that looked at their metrics all the time and studied them and adjusted them and became this amazing person who was able to build a business and not really deal with customers? Or did you get into coaching and consulting because you wanted to build relationships and help people? And believe me, the solopreneur route, the route on the other side is much easier. And it's much more realistic too, because when it comes to funding, by the way, I want to make one little extra note there. At the start, you'll see launch marketing. What I want to encourage you to think about here is that you're going to be spending probably about 10% of your revenue. And by the way, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but you're going to be investing. I need to watch my language there in marketing in order to attract that type of people. And then I also put in here that you might want to consider spending about 10% on support. What does support mean? Well, that means getting the help that you need to understand the things that you need that you don't know how to do. In other words, that stuff that you do want to outsource. Maybe it is that, marketing strategy or marketing implementation and things like that you need to get done by somebody else. That's a reality. You're going to have to maybe hire some people. Maybe even that's training and development, your own education and knowledge. But in the early stages, you're always going to be investing more to get your business off the ground. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So one last critical point on this. And that's ROI. What does ROI stand for?
Return on investment.
Great. Anybody still playing with me in the chat box, or is everybody mad at me?
We actually got a bunch of questions lined up.
Okay, great.
Get through this,
Hopefully that'll get everybody to stick around. So ROI equals return on investment. And we haven't said your name, and I apologize. Well, I shouldn't apologize, but I know I'm picking on you. Whoever said first you got to have revenue and then you build a business. I just want to dispel that, right off the bat, because that thought process is crippling. You can't build a business with that thought process. That's if you've seen some of my webinars before, one of the story about the wood stove and the fellow who's freezing to death in front of the stove with the pile of wood in his arm that's saying, give me some heat and then I'll give you some wood. Give me some revenue and then I'll invest in my business. Doesn't work that way. You got to put the wood in and you got to wait for the stove to heat up in order to get some heat and to warm yourself. So when it comes to your business, it's ROI, folks. You've got to invest. You got to invest your time, your energy, and you got to invest some money if you're going to build a business. These are rules that just are a fact. Think about it. Would you go to your investment planner, say you're looking at retirement investment, you put money in, do you go to them and say, you give me a return once I see that you're making and putting away $1,000 a month for my retirement, then I'll start to give you some money? Does that make any sense? Would anyone do that? And yet that's exactly what most people do when they launch into business for themselves. They say, well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to put anything into it. But once it starts to give me a return, then I'll invest. Show me anywhere that you can put no money in and get a return. I don't know of one. Tough love, folks. Tough love. But it's reality. And I'm going to give you one more piece of tough love here. And that's, if that's the way you think and you can't get over that fear, you can't get the help to get over that fear, get a job. You really need to go get a job, because this is, you got to put on your big boy pants and your big girl pants, if you're going to make this happen. It's going to take sweat equity, and it's going to take financial equity to make it happen. Everybody's silent. I wish there was.
We've got a bunch of questions and comments. So
okay.
So to those.
So before I finish off here, because Jaimie and I came up with something that we want to put out there, but let's go through a Q&A. Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, I think maybe we should kind of wrap it up in the webinar, and then whoever wants to stay, and we'll keep the recording going too. So, but those who need to go, well, actually, no. Let's answer some questions so that the people in the audience can get things answered if they do need to go.
You know what? Your first idea was right. I didn't realize the time. Once again, the time has gotten. We're right on the hour, so we're right on the hour. But we should wrap up and then go to a Q&A after. Okay. So a couple of things. First of all, Jaimie and I are always here to answer your questions. You know the resources are there. If not, you know how to reach out to us. We're happy to get on a call with you, and we're not going to pitch you. You don't have to pay for that call. We're happy to get on a call and do, a complimentary consult with you. So know that you have us as a resource. If you don't get your question answered, you can communicate with us any number of ways. Okay. Yes. So that's really, really important for you to know. And I want to wrap up here with one thing that we've come up with, and that this is something that Jaimie and I are doing as a very small focused elite offer right now. And this is where we're focusing for 90 days. We're going to help you get to where you are attracting the kind of people who get it, want to do business with you, and pay you what you're truly worth. So I already gave you a hint of some of those things. We're going to help you design a $5,000 package so that you can get out there. We're going to help you design and figure out who your minimum viable audience is. All of those things we're going to go through, and we're going to help you get crystal clarity. First of all, we're going to talk about what you want from your business and get really drilled down into that and give you the confidence that you can have it and that you can get it. And then we're going to help you develop a strategy to achieve it. And once we develop that strategy, then we're going to develop an all-out massive action plan to make it happen. Okay. We're going to design an offer together. We're going to help you do that. We're going to dive into the audience. We're going to do your messaging. And not only that, but we're going to help you implement all of this. We're going to get the word out and get your business working for you. Okay. So that's what we're doing. We're going to limit this to just 5 coaches and consultants, because this is going to be intense. We're talking about weekly coaching and consulting calls. We're talking about homework, things that you're going to have to be doing. You're going to have to be investing your time and energy into it. And we're going to make it happen with you, not for you, but with you, because we want you to be sustainable. We want you to learn and grow and continue on. So after this call, you're going to get an opportunity to give us feedback. You're also going to get a thing where you can sign up. You can check a box if you're interested. But I encourage you to apply now. We're going to go through a qualification process. Not everybody's going to get in on this. We're only taking 5. And, we're going to send you a questionnaire to get some information from you. Then we're going to have a meeting, a pre-meeting. We're very serious about this because we only are going to take on people we know we can help get there. Okay, so that's what we're offering, this elite focused offer. We're only going to keep this window open for 5 coaches and consultants until we've got that. So that could happen in the next day, could happen the next few days, but we're going to close this off by the end of the month. So if you're interested, get on this right away and let us know, because that's where we're going, and that's what we want to do. And we want to turn you into role models and case studies, and make your life what you want it to be, and help you get what you want out of your business.
And it's the first time that Mark and I are teaming up together to help, our clients. I mean, we're JV partners for one another, but this is a way that we can really, dive in deep with the clients that we both work with, and try to join our forces, because what we do is very complementary. So yeah.
And we realize that, and I'm just going to close on this one thought here, Jaimie, is that what we realize in our communications is, we're working independently on many things, and there's some overlap and some inefficiencies there. So we thought, well, let's get, hyper focused and work on this together so that we can really get somebody there quickly and powerfully, and just really teaming up and letting that synergy come forward. So get in touch. Let us know if you're interested in that.
I have the form already. It should be showing in the room. So just click on the button to sign up now and just check off the box if you're interested in that. So there's some bonuses in there. And then if you're interested in that, let us know by that. All right, let's go back to the chat. While we do that, though, I'm going to put up the other offer, which is to join us for our program, our free membership. You get 1 month for free. I'm going to go ahead and broadcast that. So if you're not currently a
I'm
member,
going to stop sharing. I don't know if you have control of that or not.
Okay, great. Yeah, and we'll go right into the chat so we can get some questions answered here. But those of you who are not a member, go ahead and click on that. I'll leave it open. Okay, so let me go to the questions. I'll take them in the order. Oh, where's the application? I see the question. Did you see that? Did you get that handled or no? I can put it back up. Let me go ahead and do that.
I see on my screen, I see the 1 month free.
Okay, I just took that down. So I'm going to broadcast the sign up now button. Do you see that, Mark?
I see it at the top. Folks, if you scroll down, if you look at the top of your chat screen, you'll see 1, 2, 3 and sign up now.
Okay, perfect. I don't see it that way, but okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and go into the chat. We'll stay as long as we need to. And so Nan says, you don't know what you don't know. I'm not sure if I'm aware of all the possibilities. It might be a faster and easier path. Okay. I definitely suggest that you fill out that form and get talking with Mark for sure on that. Products versus services, can both be viable online? Is one question.
That's I believe that's a depends question. So again, we have to know more specifics. First of all, who the audience is, who we're trying to reach. Sorry, I'm being distracted here. Can you guys see me on the screen?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
I feel like I'm.
But I'm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it depends on the service of the product. Obviously, there are certain things that that people are doing that need to be delivered physically. So is it a physical product? Is it a service and such? So there's a lot more to that question that I think we would need to dive into. But definitely, yeah, products and services. Of course, we do it all the time. Amazon, biggest company in the world, right? All products. Actually, yeah, all products. I don't think they're into services yet. Yeah.
Okay. Next, if coaching is about helping clients to find their own answers, or coaching is, okay, we don't need to have all the answers. If a coach is skilled in the core competencies, they can coach anyone about anything. Your specialty gets you in the door. Once you coach an individual over a long period of time, you end up talking about other areas of their lives, their relationships, their finances, you name it. I think you're talking more about consulting than coaching. I agree that one must be seen as an expert to attract clients, but it will not be the only thing you coach people on. I will say I feel that way, but it's about the attraction.
Yeah. So you've got to get over this hump, this idea that the whole world is my market. Because if you try and appeal to the whole world, I'm not arguing the point that you couldn't solve every single problem. I'm not arguing that you are a coach, you're able to get my child through math, my wife through labor, my car fixed, whatever. You could do it all. I have total confidence that you could do it. But if that's the message you put out to the world, you will fail. Because I'm talking about marketing here. And it's not a matter of saying, oh, I'm only able to deal with this subset of the population.
Right.
It's a matter of saying, I choose to become an expert in this. And that's the only way you're going to attract people. And you've got to come back to personal example. We've got to come back. If you've got a plugged toilet, you tell me, if you're the coach, then that means you're saying, all I need is somebody that knows how to fix things. Right. So if I look through the paper, I go online and I see these ads and they say, I can fix things. I'll hire the first person that says they can fix things. And right below it is an ad that says, I specialize in fixing plugged toilets. I guarantee it. And I can be at your house in 15 minutes.
Yeah. It's
ask yourself, are you going to call are you going to go, nah, I don't care. I want the guy that can fix anything.
Yeah.
It's a mindset where you have to think in terms of, get out of yourself and get into the head of your audience. And you better know who your audience is. And your audience isn't the whole world, because the second side of that whole comment is that, okay, that's great. What happens if I am a miracle marketer and I can deliver, I don't know, I'm not that great. I can only deliver 500,000 people a day to you. How are you going to service that? You're not going to be able to service even one person because you're overwhelmed with the 500,000. So this is what I'm saying is you've got to shift your thinking out of your technique, out of your methodology, and stop being a coach for a minute and start thinking like a marketer. How do I attract?
So she responded back to say, I just wanted to know that you're talking only about marketing. I get niche target marketing. I just wanted to hear that you understood the value of coaching. Yes, so just to summarize all of that, what Mark is saying, and I get that you get it, Nan, is that, it's really an entry point. If you can get them in the door, then by all means, if you have other areas that you can help them with, we say, go for it. For sure. It's just,
and I do. I mean, I work, but I'll tell you what, if I have a coach that's the be all and end all to everything, I still work with a personal trainer to coach with me in the gym. I'm not going to use my be all and end all coach for that. Oh, and I also happen to work with, with somebody that's helping me with my business. And I also have another coach that I work. So I work with a variety of coaches, but I hire specifics. So people do. That's the way the world hires. Yeah.
Okay. Next, what are your best criteria to use to determine if there's a market for services being offered? How long is a good time to see results? So that's one other question there, or two questions in one. So what is the best criteria to determine if there's a market for the services that you're offering? And how long is a good time to see results?
So first of all, I would put the services aside for a minute, pause on those, put your services aside. You have an idea, you already know it's in your mind. And then start to look at what people are asking for. So let's say, for example, your service in a broad sense, let's come back to the personal training thing that is related to fitness, health and fitness, for example. So there's a health and fitness coach. Then what I would start to do is hang around in forums and groups and spaces like that and look at the questions that people are asking. Look at, what their goals are. Look at where they're maybe having challenges or issues and start to get to know that. And then look at your service and how you can modify that to fit the needs that are out there. Because some people get this in their idea that the customer has to change and mold themselves to fit their service or product. And that's not reality. It's the opposite. It's we have to be willing to take our service, we know what it is, then get really clear on what people want, then modify our language and our service so that it fits. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah. Does that make sense? And then how long is a good time to see results? Did we touch on that? I don't think so.
Again, depends on what you're willing to invest. So time, money,
True.
And where you're, what kind of product or service that you're marketing. If you were marketing the latest, greatest new widget that nobody had heard of before, you're going to want a longer time frame. I'd say any new strategy that you're trying, an absolute minimum of 90 days. And that's just to get some validation.
Yeah, that's what I was
and
thinking.
in many cases, 6 months to a year before you really, hone it in. Make those adjustments as you go. But you've got to be willing to invest and be willing to be patient as well.
Yeah, and tweak as you need to. Give it a little bit of time. But if you see that your marketing messages are not resonating with people, then you make a little adjustment here and a little bit there. And Mark talks a lot about don't change everything at once. Change one little thing, one little component. Dial that in a little bit and then see if you need to change anything else. Don't throw away the baby with the bathwater, so they speak, right? Like
it's kind of like, when you're, if you're dealing with maybe a health matter or whatever, and you end up and you go to the health food store and you change, 10 different things. And all of a sudden you're going, well, I don't know what's working. I'm taking this supplement, this supplement, this supplement. I'm on this diet. I've done this to my sleep. How are you feeling? I'm feeling good. Well, what's working? I really don't know. Now I'm afraid to take any of it away because I don't know what's working. So always a good idea to change the minimum and test it and see what happens. See if you can figure it out. Take your best guess. Jaimie knows this. I'm a big fan of testing.
Yes.
So, change an element and then have a baseline where you're going to test against that. So, tweaking is really, really tweaking always.
A few people have asked for slides and the manifesto, so I'm keeping a list of those. If anybody else is still in here and wants to request those, I will have Mark send those to you.
You'll get by the way, the resources will be in. Make sure you're part of that. You're in the program. Because that's where we'll post these things, so you can get a replay of this, so you don't have to screen capture things. You can get the slides, you can get the manifesto. We'll post different things like that in there, so it's easy. You can just go in anytime and download them.
Yep. And then I think we've answered everything. The only question left was, and I'm so sorry we didn't cover that, the price of our elite program, Mark.
Okay, so I debated on whether to put that in there or not. I want to. What do you think, Jaimie?
Well, you and I discussed it yesterday, this week, and I think I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable that we're not going to change it, but it's a $10,000 fee. So it's $10,000 investment, 90 days. We're going to take you from A to Z, and it's a collaborative effort. This is not we're doing everything for you. We're teaching and helping you. So we're working together to make sure that these things get done. Okay.
Yeah, some of the people in the webinar today are already working with me. Some are already working with Mark. So this is really for new people. I mean, this is sort of an abbreviated version of some of the things that we do. Well, at least on my end. But anyway, I think that what we offer and what we're putting together here is very valuable and will be a great. I mean, I end up, most of the clients I work with, I send them to Mark, because if there's any question on clarity or focus or anything like that, I think Mark is the best person to help people get I've seen it. I've seen him do it with a few of my clients. That's why I refer people to him. So it's kind of like we kind of end up referring people to each other. And this is our first package we've put together that you can get the benefit of working with Mark and the benefit of working with me. You can do it, at the same time. You can work with him first, then me, whatever is the best option and we would make a recommendation to you. Should we jump in with the marketing and the implementation, or do you need to get clear and spend time with Mark first on doing that? So
yes. And that will dictate how long. By the way, we take a holistic approach. So so it's not like a lot of people will end up on a webinar like this because they want the checklist, the magic list, but that's not where success comes from. Success comes from having a holistic approach and making sure that all of the pieces intermingle and work together synergistically. So that's what's going to be powerful about this program and what we're doing.
Yeah, because I'm just one final thing I just want to mention. I have a lot of clients that work with me, and I want to take them from where they are and help them just get out there and more visible. And in recent times, I guess I'll just say that I've seen clients that have, they're not very clear on who they want to serve and how they want to serve them. And so then I say, okay, let's back this up. If I didn't have Mark to refer people to, I wouldn't know what to tell them, but they have to get clear on that in order for my services to really help them to be effective in that. So this is why we've kind of we're collaborating together on this. And I think it's going to be a good long-term offer for many people out there. So
I'm excited. Can't wait to get started working with people, and I hope. I know this was probably my strongest. You can tell I'm emotional about this topic. My strongest tough love webinar or messaging that I've ever put out there. So I hope nobody took offense to that, but that you accepted that as reality and that you learned something from this. It's been a pleasure being with you today.
Yes.
And I look forward to speaking with anyone that would like to reach out and that we can help move the needle and get things going for them.
Yes. Thank you all for staying on. Whoever stayed on till the end, we have a few people that have stayed and asked questions, and we're so pleased that we could help and answer some questions for you. So if you're not,
yay! If I had fancy things I could put on the screen right now, I'd love to say yay for the participants, for everybody that stuck around, and kudos to everyone for really diving in and participating. That's the first step to success. So thank you.
Yeah, we're going to send you a feedback form, so look for that in a little bit, and we'll get the recording out too if you want to revisit. So, all right, everybody, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right, bye.